jurors that can be fair and impartial and listen to the evidence with an open mind. With that being said, we understand that you come here with your life experiences, and we're not asking you to forget about those, but we're asking you to talk to us open and honestly. There's no right or wrong answer to these questions. We just want open and honest answers from you. With that being said also, if I ask you anything that you don't want to talk about in front of everyone else, if you're uncomfortable, please just let us know and we can go to sidebar and talk about it privately. The first thing that I want to start with is that the state has a burden right here at this table. It never leaves. And that's the burden to prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt. Does anyone have a problem with that burden? Or that it does not shift to the defense at any point? Does anyone have a problem with that? All right, I'm seeing head shaking no. We are off to a great start. You heard that the allegations are that the defendant assaulted an individual at a bar, and then when the officers arrived, he resisted arrest. Hearing just those brief allegations, nothing else, is there anyone here that says, Deanna, this is not the case for me? Based on just what I'm hearing, I cannot be fair and impartial. Okay, I'm seeing no hands again. So, in this case, the state is largely going to prove the case by having witnesses come over here to the witness stand. They're going to take an oath to tell you the truth and tell you what they remember from that day, what they saw, what they heard, what they felt. The judge will instruct you that testimony is evidence. Anyone here that says, I'm going to need something more, I can't just sit with testimony. Okay, I'm seeing head shaking no. Now is when I'm going to start calling on you guys for a little bit of input. So, while a witness testifies, you're going to have to assess their credibility. Number 9, how would you assess someone's credibility?
Body language, tone of voice.
Okay. Okay, and number 7, how about you?
I think whether or not they make eye contact, if they look, at you when you're speaking, I think that's important.
Okay, and when you say make eye contact, do you mean with myself, with the defense attorney, with the jurors?
I think with everyone.
Okay. And I see number 6, you're shaking your head yes. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I also think that if there's a bunch of ums and pauses or maybe shifting of movement, I think that might be problematic as well. That's how I would assess credibility.
Okay, problematic how? Why would you assess that as not being credible?
I don't know if you can trust somebody who can't be still when they're telling facts that they lived.
Okay, so you think that if someone is a little fidgety, it may go to their credibility?
Yeah, I mean, if they lived the experience and they shouldn't be nervous, I mean, surely they're nervous about this process, but they shouldn't be nervous about the things that they're saying.
Okay, and number 23, sir, how about you? How would you assess credibility?
I probably would agree with much of what was said already, and maybe just to add to that, if they contradict themselves or contradict somebody else, I guess we have to figure that out. But
Okay, so if there's a witness who contradicts another witness, that you go to credibility, you consider their credibility based on that.
I would have to think if two people are saying two different things that contradict each other, one of them's got to be right, one of them's got to be wrong. So.
Okay, and number 26, ma'am, how about you? How would you assess your credibility of a witness?
I think in how confident they present the information, and I don't necessarily agree that if someone is fidgety that, that would make them not credible. It's probably a nerve-wracking experience testifying, so I would just have to listen to the consistency and the confidence.
Okay. Is there anyone that, I see number 25, you're shaking your head in agreement, it looks like. How would you assess someone's credibility, or do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. The first thing that came to my mind was confidence as well, and
Okay.
I agree, fidgeting doesn't necessarily mean they're not telling the truth.
Now, is there anyone here who thinks something differently on how to assess someone's credibility? Number 19, ma'am, I see you're thinking about that. How would you assess someone's credibility? What would you look for?
I think consistency of their own testimony, definitely a big factor.
Okay.
And body language.
Okay, and by body language, what do you mean?
I think, as someone mentioned, like confidence in what they're saying, that they're not doubting themselves as they're giving the testimony.
Okay. Now, you're gonna learn that, at least one of the witnesses is gonna be a police officer in this case. Is there anyone here who says, okay, it's a police officer, you know what, Deanna, I'm gonna assess their credibility differently now, just because they're a police officer? Number 11, I'm sorry, ma'am, number 28.
I do. I believe that police officers and prosecutors rarely get it wrong, so I would find them more credible.
Okay, and when you say rarely get it wrong, what do you mean by that?
I mean that whenever they bring something and they're filling out their reports, being a police officer, they pretty much are on point with everything that was told to them. They present it in a case fully, so I believe their testimony.
Okay, and you would believe their testimony of an officer more than just a normal civilian person. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, and I appreciate your honesty on this topic. Given the fact that you would believe an officer more, would you not be able to be fair and impartial in this case?
I believe I can listen to the facts and be fair and impartial.
Okay,
Yes.
and do you believe that you'd be able to give an officer, you'd listen and assess the officer's credibility the same way you would assess a civilian's? Or you think automatically just because they wear a uniform, you're going to believe them more?
I'm unsure about that. I think it
Okay.
depends on more than what I'm listening. If it was someone I knew that was going through the same situation, I would find it difficult to believe the other person as opposed to the officer.
Okay, so you're saying you would consider, you know, if you have a friend or someone that went through a similar situation, well, actually walk me through that. What do you mean by that?
So, I mean, if I had a friend or a family member, a close family member going through the same situation that we're about to hear, I think I would be more on the side of the officer being credible as opposed to the defendant.
Okay, and so you're, well, I mean, we know very limited about this case so far. You just know the allegation. Is there something about the allegations that right off the bat you say I can't be fair and impartial?
I just heard the basic, that it has to do with the violent nature, so for me, I don't like violence, so that right there to me would put me in a different light as being part of the jury.
Okay, and I appreciate your honesty for that.